I need some black joy. The fact that black joy even exists as a concept in the world is miraculous to me. Asians are no good at joy. We are good at working hard and being diligent and doing our best, but not joy. Colonizers too. Rich lives, no joy. We should never have hooked our stars to theirs.
So, my point today is, well, not today, but at this moment, like, why does black joy bother some white people? And some other groups, but majority is white people.
They hate black joy because they don't understand it. They hate black joy because they can't police it. European Americans very well know how they treat black people in this country, and they also know how other people target black people in this country. Black joy doesn't make sense to them because they are sitting around here miserable.
I think white people are so triggered by black joy because they have zero control over it. And white people are all about control. And anything they don't get to control and manage and dictate freaks them the hell out.
They don't get to be the leader.
Maturing is realizing white people really think black joy is just ghetto. White people aren't allowed expression. And this is why black people are like white people's secret obsession and like the bane of their existence. You know what I mean? Because black people refuse to conform. And in that conformity, even though there's so much of a consequence behind refusing to conform, there's also so much joy. There's also so much freedom. And this is why there's so much of black culture.
Why would somebody else's happiness make you feel uncomfortable? I mean, why would that even happen? Why would you seeing people celebrate their culture, celebrate their achievements, or, simply enjoy life, be viewed as a threat, something negative, or, instead of to be positive? Now, that's the question that has sparked a lot of debate, especially around the black joy. Now, in this video, we will hear different people share their thoughts, their ideas, their perspective on why they believe black joy is sometimes misunderstood. Black joy is taken as a threat, taken as something negative, highly criticized. Of course, you may agree with some points or disagree with others. That's okay. But listen carefully before making your mind, before judging. And as the conversation unfolds, let's ask ourselves a simple question. Should anyone ever be criticized simply for celebrating who they are? Let's watch the video together and then we'll come back for more discussion. If this is your first time, please subscribe. Let's grow this community. I'll see you at the end.
They hate black joy because they don't understand it. They hate black joy because they can't police it. European Americans very well know how they treat black people in this country, and they also know how other people target black people in this country. Black joy doesn't make sense to them because they are sitting around here miserable, and they don't understand how black people are still able to have a good old time. What bothered slave owners the most back in the day was not their brutality, their beating, their mutilating, their assaulting. No. What bothered slave owners the most back then was that how can these slaves still enjoy their day? That is what bothers slave owners the most. It is written down in their diaries. They could not comprehend, well, we're hurting these people. How are they able to still enjoy life? They try to study everything about us, but black joy, they cannot comprehend it because they don't have the capacity for it. Because they spend so much time dehumanizing other people, but the moment that you do that, you give up your own humanity. It's a devil's deal. They spend most of their childhood around racism, lowbrow comments, disrespectful jokes. Their fun is surrounded by racism. Their fun is surrounded by suffrage. Nor do they have a collective community outside of bigoted behavior. So black joy doesn't make sense to them because they believe that since they have more in this country, that they should be the ones that's happy. And anybody who has less should be the ones that's actually suffering.
Maturing is realizing white people really think black joy is just ghetto. That's because white people aren't allowed to be joyful. And this isn't me being critical of white people, but the concept of whiteness is social control, right? It is rigidity. The concept of whiteness was sold as privilege, but the price of that privilege was freedom, was joy. They are only allowed to have privilege in a controlled sense. I want you to think about all of these concepts: political correctness, social manners, professionalism, dress codes. Like, all of these things are inherently controlling. Like, none of these things are freedom. None of these things are expressive. White people aren't allowed expression. And this is why black people are like white people's secret obsession and like the bane of their existence. You know what I mean? Because black people refuse to conform. And in that conformity, even though there's so much of a consequence behind refusing to conform, there's also so much joy. There's also so much freedom. And this is why there's so much of Black culture that is mimicked, because it represents something that they could never be, which is why they wear our culture like a costume, because it is something that they can only temporarily enjoy. You cannot both remain part of the privileged class in society and rebel against it. Being a privileged member of a Christian colonial society means giving up the right to express yourself. It means accepting that you are a part of a greater system of control. Essentially, being white is a job, right? They are the buffer class between the elites and the oppressed, while simultaneously being a part of the oppressed class themselves. They're like the managers of a restaurant. They hate their job too. They don't make that much money too, but they make more than you. And so they're going to do everything they can to maintain that position, but they're watching you gossip with your coworkers. They're watching you steal food. They're watching you enjoy the aspects of the jobs that they can't, and they resent you for it. But they also enjoy watching you, right? It's the only fun part of the job, but they can't allow you to have too much fun. No? Or then the boss is going to hammer down on them. It's not really a privilege to be white. You know, everything that was great about European cultures and society, pantheons, the worship, the witches, the magic, fairy tales, everything that was great about being white, about being European, was stolen from white people. I mean, colonization was just as brutal for white people. Well, I won't take it that far, but it was terrible, you know? And white people still haven't mourned the loss of everything that they lost.
Deontay Kyle made a good point regarding Black Joy. I also made a statement prior to this. If white people cannot monitor or monetize Black Joy, they no longer want it around. This is why they keep Black people in such proximity, because they find joy in watching us. They find joy in watching us dance. They find joy in watching us sing. They find joy in watching us play sports. They find joy in watching us simply mind our business. Biggest consumer of the Black art related to Black struggle is white people, literally. On paper. But the moment we draw the line and say, hey, I'm just going to spend this amongst our community, guess what? They burn the community down. Not just metaphorically speaking, but physically. They burn the community down. Because how dare you be happy without us? This is how somebody can be racist but loves everything related to Black people. You have to understand that there is a mental disconnection when you start dehumanizing people. This doesn't mean that all white people don't feel joy. No, but a lot of white people, they experience joy in a way different way than we experience joy, because they have spent so much time dehumanizing people. So you can no longer sit there and celebrate and just be happy to be amongst each other. You have to involve some kind of brutality with it, because you guys have gained community off of brutality. Their community was built off of brutality. It wasn't built off of love and joy. Our community was built off of love, joy, and struggle. This is why within a struggle, we can still have love, joy, and celebration. You ever see a white person in a struggle? No celebration there.
I'm going to keep saying this with my whole chest, because some people are not deep thinkers. I understand that you're not a critical thinker. This is not for you. It's just not for you. Scroll up. So, my point today is, well, not today, but at this moment, like, why does Black joy bother some white people? And some other groups, but majority is white people. And not all of you. You know what I'm talking about. You ever notice how the group of Black folks, like, they come together laughing, dancing, and just vibing, and suddenly it's labeled as too loud, too ghetto, or too much? Jealousy. You know why? Because they couldn't strip that away. And it's surviving. But let's be real. It's not about the volume that's the problem. It's the vibrations. It's the freedom. It's the fact that we can still find joy after centuries of trying to be stripped of who we are. We still make something out of nothing. You understand? See, Black joy is like disruptive in certain people. It challenges. And where we're supposed to be broken and angry and silent, it's like loving, living, and celebrating. So it's not just confusion. It's threatening to a certain group of people. Because Black joy, for us, is power, is resistance, it's healing, it's ancestral. Of all the things they said we could not do, it's lies. Remember, we were here way before other groups were here. And now our happiness is not a performance. It's reclaiming who we said we always were. So the next time somebody looks uncomfortable with your black joy, remember that you're not the problem. They're just uncomfortable and can't believe that after all this time, we are still celebrating who we are and who we are meant to be and who we are growing to be. So tell me, have you ever felt like your joy made somebody else uncomfortable? Let's talk about it, y'all. To me, I don't give a flying fuck who feels uncomfortable. This is my life, my body, and if you feel uncomfortable, move the fuck away. Right? Because where I was for Black Bike Weekend, we were on the side, I'm not gonna say the grown folk side, but we like our peace. So of course, it was a mix of black and white people. Like, we all around each other. We all talking to each other. You think anybody grabbed their purse because they see bikers in leather? No, they're used to it. They're talking, they're waving, they're like, oh, let me tell me about your bike, blah, 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 blah. These are people talking, not afraid and not jealous. There are some, but we didn't cross any this weekend. Okay? But have y'all ever experienced that? Like, you having joy, you having celebration, especially with all the graduates. Did you see those comments talking about black fatigue in the comments of black joy celebrating the college? See, the point that I'm trying to get at is no one who doesn't, how can I say this? If you black, you understand. It comes naturally, and it doesn't matter what state you from. We all have a common denominator of celebrating our blackness, and people can't stand that. People can't stand that. And I'm not just talking about in America. If we go somewhere else, black joy is celebrated different ways, but we still have that common denominator of celebrating of what we achieve regardless of the fact. Okay, I'm gonna get off my soapbox. Anyway, happy Tuesday.
They can't stand to see people getting their value from within. Like, you know how many white people have asked why are like, they've literally, I've seen it in the comments, I've seen it in videos of white people saying, black people, like, how do you get your joy? Like, how are you so happy? Like, why? Like we know that we've oppressed you for all this time. How do you still stand up and smile and dance? Like, they want us, and that's not to say that they want us to, well, some of them certainly want us to, like, not be happy. But even the ones who do not actively try to make sure we're not happy, they feel like we should be unhappy. And so they ask, why are you so happy? And that's because they themselves have been trained and brought up to think that their happiness comes from external validation. Y'all, that is what it is. Because white culture, white American culture is very consumerist. It is very, you get your value from having the biggest house. You get your value from having the hottest husband and the prettiest woman. You get your value from having the most, the highest paying job. You get your value from having the highest net worth. That is literally how a lot of white Americans define their value, is if I have this external indicator that everyone else can see that says I am worthy. The higher that number on the stock ticker for them, that is the higher their value. And and when that is where your value comes from, you will always look at people who are poor or people who have no money and be like, why are you smiling? And it's just like, because my value does not come from some artificial number on a board that someone else made up. Like, what? That is crazy. But another thing is, when you have the mentality of my value comes from things outside of me, you have the mentality that everyone else has that same mentality. And so so then it becomes a whole lot of projection. It becomes a whole lot of projection of, like, I would be insecure if I were in your place, so why aren't you insecure? Like, it's just like, so the projection starts, and it's like, and that makes them mad as well, because they just expect you to think like them, and it's like, absolutely not. Hustle culture is one of the external validation traps. It sure is. And that goes into, y'all don't let me get on my history box. Because the Black Panthers, y'all, they were very anti-capitalism, very communist, pro-communist, pro-everyone working.
White people are upset that no matter the barrier. This is the first video that I've seen that the creator, being black, is not, I'm trying to get that glare out, is not bashing the black community. And I absolutely love her perspective, and it's true. Even maybe those black people, they're mad because whatever's going on in the society and in the world is not causing them to stop, drop, and roll for whatever it is they see fit to do for themselves in their lives. You're mad because I decide to put my money into whatever I want to put it into, i.e. the prom. Why does that bother you so much? Why are you concerned with the amount of money that I spend and the extravagance and the elaboration that I take and how far I go in my decision to celebrate myself for me and my money? Why do you care? And what makes it hood? It's hood because it's us. That's who we are. That's how we dress. That's how we show up for ourselves. That's how we turn up. It just so happens to be being done for prom. Anything that y'all can sit and talk about, you're gonna, and it's disgusting. It's sad. And for those black creators who are getting on this bandwagon and saying, "Oh my God, this is why they talk about us. This is why they think that way they think about us." Y'all some hoe ass, Uncle Tom ass bitches, and are. If you don't like it, that's cool. If you don't do it, that's cool. But for you to get on here and get on this bandwagon of whatever they're saying to down us and actually agree with them, you a clown. And you are part of the problem as well. You keep giving them a reason to say, see, even your own kind don't believe in you, or even your own kind feel XYZ about you. You did it for clicks, you did it for views. Disgusting. You're sad.
I need some black joy. The fact that black joy even exists as a concept in the world is miraculous to me. Asians are no good at joy. We are good at working hard and being diligent and doing our best, but not joy. Colonizers too. Rich lives, no joy. We should never have hooked our stars to theirs. But black people, especially black Americans, are the best at joy. You've turned it into an art form. I know it came from terrible hardship that you've turned into soul and then into joy. And we, Chinese people, we just turn that hardship into more hard work. But I know you can't give it to us. We have to go out and earn it for ourselves just like you did. Joy is a puzzle for every human being and it's not free. When I ask my black friends where their joy comes from, they inevitably shake their heads and just repeat, "You can't let them take it away from you." That's what it's not. But what is black joy? Can you tell me?
I think white people are so triggered by black joy because they have zero control over it. And white people are all about control. And anything they don't get to control and manage and dictate freaks them the hell out.
They don't get to be.
All right, racists. Let's talk about your distaste for black joy. Racist America fumes at the sight of happiness, especially when that person smiling is black. It's as if this country specializes in anger Olympics. Being a little too happy disturbs the patriotism. 3 or more laughs in one place is like being investigated by a mall cop. I'm gonna need to see some ID. Because deep down, they believe that pain is the only state that black indigenous people are allowed to live in. Black people start laughing too loud at their cousin's cookout. They throw on some Frankie Beverly. They start dancing with their auntie in a sundress while the ribs are sizzling. Instantly, their lives are in danger. It's like watching a perfect example of a case study on people who have a problem with control. It's like their obsession isn't just with control, it's like with the optics of it as well. They want to be seen as dominant in the space because they seem to disappear when there is black joy. When you throw your graduation cap in the air, surrounded by your entire family in matching t-shirts, they don't see achievement, they see defiance. Because in their minds, success was never black people's storyline. The truth is, black joy is a glitch in the racist lies that they feed themselves. They built a whole myth of superiority that only works if you're miserable, delusional, insecure, jealous, and mediocre. When black people shift the world with their joy and laughter, the racist's entire self-image starts to crack. This is why racists gatekeep golf courses, ban urban dress codes, side-eye loud laughter, and call the cops when the music's just a little too bassy. The unnecessary hate and determination to ruin black people's happiness is a disease, a brain-eating amoeba that siphons the cognition out of America's privileged society. And what hurts the most is that happiness and black joy is more infectious.
Welcome back, brothers and sisters. Now, after listening to all these different opinions, I think you can see that this conversation is much more than just, dancing, more than laughing, more than celebrating. I think it's really about how different people interpret black joy and what it represents. Some speakers made body claims like, some people shared personal experiences, others spoke from their observation on how they see other races like Asians, white people, how they look at them as black people when they celebrate. And whether you agree with every point being made in this video or you don't, but I think one thing is clear. This discussion has made many people, especially black people, think about why happiness itself can become so controversial. I thought, happiness is something which is basic. At least every human being needs happiness. Why should it be something that can spark this debate, this much? So let's react to every biggest idea that was raised in this video. Point number one, let's talk about black joy as resilience. One of the strongest messages throughout this video is that black joy is not simply about having fun. And according to the speakers, it is about surviving difficult circumstances while refusing to let those hardships, those circumstances, steal your happiness, steal your joy. They argue that despite generations of discrimination, despite generations of hardships, of slavery, many black families continue to celebrate graduations, weddings, music, faith, family gatherings, and everyday achievements that black people have. Now, that perspective, explains why one Asian speaker openly admired black joy. She said, "I admire black joy because in Asia, like in Asian community, we don't have that kind of joy." She wasn't talking about money or status. She was talking about the ability to keep smiling, right? Building community and, finding hope even after hardship, even after some people have stoned you for so much, have put so much burden on you, but you are still smiling. I mean, that is something many people, regardless of race, can appreciate. I think, we can appreciate even to learn from. Point number 2 is about some people see confidence as a threat. When black people are confident, they trust in themselves, they see themselves and they're optimistic about their future, about their life, and they believe in themselves, and then other people look at that as a threat. Now, in the video, several speakers argued that some white people become uncomfortable when they see black people confidently celebrating themselves. Notice they repeatedly said, of course, not all of them, but they repeatedly saying that when we celebrate, when we are confident, they look at us as a threat. They think we are doing something, we are planning something evil. No, we are just confident in us, in ourselves. So the argument is that when people expect, a group to remain quiet, discouraged or invisible, just look as marginalized and they don't see any future in themselves, seeing that some group celebrate loudly, they're happy, they're joyous, can challenge those expectations. Now, whether someone agrees with that conclusion or not, but I think it raises an interesting question. Why should another person's happiness, another person's enjoyment, another person's celebration make anyone uncomfortable? I mean, let's just have a moment to think about that. How? If people are celebrating their culture, spending their own money, I'm talking of their own money, their own black money, and enjoying life peacefully, should that be viewed as a problem, as a threat, as something negative? It doesn't mean when I'm happy, then I'm taking away your happiness. No. Happiness is for everyone. When somebody is happy about their achievements, look at your own achievements, you will see that you can also be happy. Okay, I mean, that question deserves honest discussion instead of immediate dismissal. Point number 3, joy cannot be measured by wealth. I think we have learned this from black people. Another interesting, point that came from that Asian woman at the beginning of the video is that she compared black joy with her own experience as an Asian woman, and what she sees in Asian community. She says many people are taught to work hard in their Asian community, chase success and remain disciplined, but not necessarily experience joy. And at the end of the day, even after they get this money, they get this wealth, they get all these achievements, still they are not joyous. They don't have happiness. So she admired what she believed was the ability of many black Americans to create, happiness through family, through music, faith, community, and some shared experiences, okay? Rather than depending on money or on material. And whether everyone shares that view, it reminds us that joy is something deeper than possessions. I think we can have this great lesson from black people. They can still be joyous more than those people who consider themselves rich, who consider themselves, popular, white, popular people, wealthy. They have positions in the government, but they're still not joyous. Somebody without that position, somebody without that so much money, is still joyous to the fullest. So I think we can learn more from black people. And a person can have everything financially and still feel empty. We are learning this from black people. But another person with much less can still have peace, purpose, enjoyment, strong relationships that people are observing in the black community. I think that's so good. That's so. Actually, that's why people come to the conclusion that I think black people are the chosen people. Black people are the original people God created. How come after everything they have gone through in life, still they can influence the world in terms of culture, in terms of music, dancing? There's so much. So anyway, let's go to point number 4. But let's keep this one so respectful. Perhaps the biggest takeaway from this, according to me, that is, the biggest takeaway is that we should avoid painting millions of people with the same brush. That's one thing we should learn. Not every black person experiences life like the same way, and not every white person reacts the same way to black joy. Okay, don't assume when other people are happy while you are happy, and then you think everybody is happy with you. No, there is a need to be careful. There are other people who may just give you a smile, but inside their hearts, they don't love to see you happy. So they will put some policies in the government to try to suppress black people. Okay, so there's that thing we really need to know. People's experience are different. Their backgrounds are different. Their communities are different. Instead of responding with anger, maybe this conversation should encourage us to ask better questions, listen more carefully, and understand why different groups see the world, differently. If joy brings people together instead of dividing them, then everybody benefits. If joy can do this, then why can't you just copy this black joy? Okay, and have your own joy in the white community, in Asian community, instead of envying black people, instead of having evil minds, evil thoughts against the black people. You get it? It's just something you can copy. Okay, these guys are enjoying with this music. You can just have the same music and dance and enjoy. It's just the same. So at the end of the day, happiness should never be treated as something competition. It's not that when I'm happy then I'm taking away something from you. No, I'm just enjoying my success. You can just look around your life, where you're coming from, and you also notice that there are some achievements that you've made, right? You can be celebrating. Okay, because there are moments people will envy those people with less success. For example, you may have acquired, just an example, you may have acquired maybe a net worth of $1 trillion. Okay, that's the highest level maybe, but somebody has just become a millionaire. Okay, and then you envy them. Yet they are far from you, but you still don't want them even to have even that. What kind of, I don't know, that's nonsense. So that's the thing. We should not treat happiness as a competition. Nobody loses, but another community celebrates achievements, its culture, its identity. You can also do it. If anything, genuine joy should inspire, okay, more joy. So after hearing all these perspectives from these people, I want to leave you with one simple question. Let's look at this question, and I would like to have an answer in the comment section. Do you believe society sometimes become uncomfortable when certain groups openly celebrate themselves? I personally, I do believe, but like I said, our experiences are different. So I personally believe, but I don't know. Do you believe that other society sometimes become uncomfortable when black people openly celebrate themselves? Do you think this issue is often misunderstood? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and let's keep the conversation respectful, thoughtful, and honest, because that's how little understanding begins. Be calm and share our perspectives. Otherwise, I love that you came to watch the video, and I'm proud of you. If this is your first time, please subscribe, and if you found this video to be useful, please like it, and I'll greatly appreciate. See you next time.